If you want to convince your kids to take care of the environment, just tell them that fairies exist. That might help. Hey everyone, this is Raptors Ball Animation Bliss, and welcome to another underrated and obscure Cartoons Corner. So today's underrated animated movie I'll be talking about today is Ferngully, The Last Rainforest. And before I get into my thoughts about this movie, here are a few words from the channel. Alright Animaniacs, now let's get on the social media train. Want to chat with us in 100 words or less? Then check out our Twitter account. Want to chat with us within a group? Then check out our Facebook account. Want to get the lowdown on everything dealing with animation on this channel? Then check all of the above. And now, we return to our regularly scheduled program. Since 2022 marks the 30th anniversary for Ferngully, The Last Rainforest, I decided to do a little review on the movie to celebrate this special occasion. So let's talk about what this movie is all about. So the movie starts off with a young fairy girl named Krista who is being mentored by Maggie, who's the leader of the fairies. And Maggie tells Krista to not go outside of Ferngully because there are lots of dangerous humans out there and lots of pollution. And despite Maggie's warnings, Krista still wants to go out to the human world to see the humans for herself. It wasn't until one day she meets up with a crazy bat named Batty Coda who tells her about humans, even though he tells Krista that humans are evil because he was being experimented on by humans. But this ended up making Krista even more curious about humans, and she ends up going out of Ferngully to find some humans. It was at that point that there were a couple of loggers who were cutting down trees in Ferngully, and one of the loggers happens to be a young boy named Zach. And Krista ends up meeting with Zach. But when one of the trees almost falls on Zach, Krista uses her fairy magic to save Zach by shrinking him down to fairy size. And it was at that point that Zach goes off with Krista to learn more about the rainforest and also develop a relationship with Krista herself. Meanwhile, the loggers end up cutting down a dangerous looking tree, and it turns out that said tree contains an evil spirit named Hexus. And once the tree is cut down, Hexus is free. Hexus tries to convince the loggers to cut down all the trees in Ferngully so that way he can become more powerful with all the pollution that's going on with all the trees being cut down. So what are my thoughts about Ferngully, The Last Rainforest? I really enjoyed this movie. This was one of those animated films I used to watch a lot as a kid, and it was one of those environmental cartoons that came out in the early 1990s that I used to watch a lot. And so there were a couple things that I did like about this film. So one thing that I did like about this film was how it was trying to teach children about the importance of taking care of the environment, or in this case, taking care of the trees. I also like the fact that they explained to kids about what trees are able to do and how they're able to help the environment, like how trees are able to help out bring out clean air to the environment. So I do like the fact that this movie is trying to teach children about the importance of taking care of the environment while trying to explain it in a way that's not too pretentious to the audience. Another thing that I really liked about this movie was the developing relationship between Krista and Zach. I like the fact that Krista and Zach bring out the best in each other. Like you have Zach at first not really caring about the forest or caring about trees in general, and then you have Krista, who's a fairy who lives in the rainforest and does care about the trees. And I like how she tries to explain the importance of the trees and how to take care of the trees. And you start to see Zach go through this character development and how he tries to take care of the trees more often as the film goes on. And then we get to see his developing relationship with Krista as they get closer to each other. So I do like the fact that Zach and Krista's relationship with each other is very positive, and it doesn't get too overly romantic. Like, there are some romantic scenes between Krista and Zach, but the film doesn't really focus on the romance aspect of Zach and Krista's relationship, and I do appreciate the film for doing that. I like how it focuses more on the positive aspects of the relationship. And then another thing I liked about this film were the characters of Batty Coda and Hexus. In regards to Batty Coda, I like the fact that Batty Coda is shown as being a crazed character who was experimented on by humans, but he shows that he's willing to help out Krista and the other fairies, and even Zach throughout the film. So it shows that even though Batty hates humans because of what was being done to him, I do like the fact that he develops as a character and he starts trusting Zach more as the film goes on. And I especially love how the late Robin Williams voiced the character, as he made Batty sound very energetic and sarcastic in the same time. And then the other character I really like is Hexus himself. Hexus is the main antagonist of the film, and I found his character to be very interesting, as he seems to be this evil character who's just all about pollution, and he just wants to become more powerful through pollution itself. And I love how Tim Curry voices Hexus, as he makes Hexus sound like a very menacing character, and I will admit that I do get some chills from hearing Tim Curry's voice as Hexus. Now here's some issues that I do have with this film. So the first issue that I have with this film is that I felt like most of the characters were very underdeveloped. Like, we don't really know a lot of the backstories, especially the fairy characters themselves and Zack himself. And I would like to know more about these characters, and I would like to know more about how they got into these situations in the film proper. Like, I wanted to know how Krista became Maggie's apprentice in the first place, and why Maggie chose Krista out of all the other fairies. And I would like to know about Zack's life in the city before he came to Ferngully. So those are some nitpicks I have in regards to the characters' backstories and how I felt like they weren't really developed that well in the film as a result. Another issue that I have with this film, and this is a very minor issue and it really depends on the viewer, is that there is a lot of 90s lingo in this film. Like, if you didn't grow up in the 1990s, then some of the lingo that the characters say, like bodacious and cool, might be a little grating to some of the modern audience. So if you didn't grow up in the 1990s, or you just don't like it when films use a lot of slang in general, then you might have a hard time with this film, as it does use a lot of 90s slang throughout the film. But overall, despite the fact that most of the characters were underdeveloped and the 90s slang can be a bit outdated, I did really enjoy this film. Like, out of all the environmental cartoons that came out in the 1990s, Ferngully: The Last Rainforest is the one I enjoyed the most, and I definitely recommend this film if you're looking for a good environmental cartoon that's not too pretentious in its message. So those are my thoughts of Ferngully: The Last Rainforest. And tell me in the comments down below, have you seen Ferngully: The Last Rainforest? And if you have, did you like this film? Did you hate this film? And what's your favorite animated film that discusses about environmental issues? Please let me know in the comments down below. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is Rabbit's Law Animation Bliss, and I'll see you guys later. And happy 30th anniversary, Ferngully. Hey animation fans, like this video? If you want to see more animated content from this channel, then please hit that big old animated subscribe button so that you can get more awesome content from this channel.